Shelley, the Council of Coats calls upon you.
Who?
We are the beings from another realm that interdimensionally commission you to create costumes, but only ones that involve cool coats and styled menswear.
Sure. Well, have a good one.
We have your next assignment.
No way, man. I'm out of the game. I mean, remember what happened last time? Plus, I'm like super busy, so, yeah, no, can't do it. Sorry.
That's okay. You'll find the time.
What? No, I'm busy.
You will find the time.
I'll find the time. Hey!
Excellent! Here is your newest muse.
First the triangle, now a set of dentures.
Now go! Get crafting!
Alright. The Amazing Digital Circus is a show that holds a very special place in my odd little heart. From the lively animation and silly humor to its message of accepting your reality and making the best of your situation, it checks off a lot of bases that make a show a favorite of mine. With the finale fast approaching, or, well, to some of you, it is already here, the theatrical release is fast approaching, I wanted to do something special to commemorate the show's conclusion. Something I told everyone around me I wouldn't do, but here I am, making a costume. Hi, I'm Shelby. I make art crafts and cosplay using secondhand materials on Chicago's South Side. The character I chose to model my costume off of should come as no surprise to those who know my prior work. It's the one with the funky suit. Now, since I am making this costume specifically to go to the theater in, I cannot do the full jaw and eyeballs headpiece. But I don't rule that out as being a future build. But never mind all that. We're focusing on the costume today. Now, Caine as a character has a lot of design potential, and I took some inspiration from a few TikTok and Instagram artists that I know. Katsabra, Corgi Butt Draws, and Digital Joey all gave me the bright idea to incorporate epaulettes into this design, and of course also lean more into that kind of ringleader aesthetic that Caine's character is clearly based off of. Lots of gold detailing, glittery tassels, really give him the showboat treatment that he deserves. Now, I had already created the red corduroy ruff to sell at a vendor fair, but I pulled it off the table last minute when I had the idea to create this costume. And really all I did was add some white lace to the top, and it gave it a kind of cool teeth and gums look to it. Now, I know that ruffs aren't exactly a ringleader thing, but they're a me thing, and it's going to be incorporated into the costume no matter what. My first step in creating the rest of this costume started where all of my other costumes start. At the library! No, the thrift store, actually. I was mainly looking for a red suit coat and possibly something tassely for the epaulettes. Now, since of course I do have a blood deal with my local thrift store gods, I found exactly what I needed. A red silky suit coat and this spirit Halloween skirt with the most perfect tassels on it. Once I got home with my prizes in hand, I had a pretty sizable issue to deal with. Emphasis on size. My dear brother gifted me a dress form a while back, and unfortunately from the start it was already about 2 sizes too big for me, even on its smallest setting. In the past, I was able to work around this, but after my last costume that had a lot of tailoring work, and I ended up with a lot of issues because of it, I did not want to do that again here. So I decided it was time for a new one. But I'm working on a budget, and I'm not about to drop a fat stack on a new one when I could probably just make one. I am a crafter after all. How hard could it be? I'm never going to regret this. Not in a million years.
Substantially less than a million years later.
Oh, I can't breathe. Okay. Well, fuck. When doing any costume piece, I like to eat my oats before my marshmallows. So I picked what I thought would be the hardest part, and I started there. And in this case, it was relining the lapel. This was such a pain in my ass. I used gold thread and just top stitched the whole thing on because I could not be bothered to tear the jacket apart and sew it in properly. Once I was done with that, I thought it would be smooth sailing from there, but wasn't. The jacket I bought was too big for me, so a lot of taking in and a lot of tailoring had to be done. At first, I thought the correct course of action would be to just pull it in the back and stick something decorative over the little scrunched up bit and call it a day. But I ran into issues with this idea when I was planning out the coattails. I went back and forth on how I wanted the coattails to be. I thought about attaching a separate piece of fabric to the back and having super long and dramatic tails, but I didn't have the right fabric for it, and so I just ended up taking the jacket and turning the existing fabric into coattails, and they eventually lined up to be on the side of the coat rather than the back, but I was okay with that. The tails and the bottom of the coat were certainly some of the oddest tailoring that I have done on a project to date. When one issue would be solved, another one popped up as a result. Sewing in the sides meant that the front bunched up. Incorporating the bunch up into the design meant that there were little triangles in the front, and the triangles flipped up when you tried it on. When ironing down the triangles, my top stitching and poor ironing job was very obvious. So little tassels were put onto the belt loops that were originally there to cover up that sewing and ironing job. All of these little issues and fixes are always welcome to an improvisational cosplayer like myself. My initial design hardly ever looks like the final outcome. This is because something always comes up during the build, but 9 times out of 10, it adds to the costume as a whole, and it looks better because of it. Little life lesson for you there. Plan what you want, stay open to new things, and turn mistakes and setbacks into a positive. Once the tailoring for the jacket was complete, and I felt good about it, I moved on to what I am now considering one of my favorite little costume accessories ever, the epaulettes. Oh my god. I cannot believe how, 1, easy they were to make, and 2, how much they added to the costume. Oh my god. I went for the really big and showy design of the epaulette, where the base of it is a rectangle and the end of it is like a circle. I cut cardboard out to that shape, glued it together, and then I took some gold fabric that I had left over from a previous costume and simply hot glued it down. And then I took another piece of that gold fabric, cut it out to the shape, hot glued it to the bottom so it hit all the seams and scrunching. Then I added that really excellent tassel material to the circly part, and then just gold trim on the side. Last thing that needed to be done was affixing it to the shoulder, but they're just on there with Velcro and hot glue. I love that particular detail in this costume. Like, I want to add them to every costume now. And just clothing in general. Like, when did we stop wearing fun shit like this? For the little hat, I simply took some old plastic party hats from the thrift store, painted them black, and took some of the leftover material that I cut off of the jacket and just hot glued it to the rim. And then I did make a couple of details out of polymer clay, and those were 2 little Caine and Abel AI orbs, a molar, a little bubble, teeth earrings, and a tooth button detail that is Velcro to the front of the jacket. And conveniently, I already had a bee dangly earring from my campy Fox Mulder cosplay from earlier this year. The other one was just an earring that I made randomly a couple months ago. But would you look at that? It's got a little blue moon and slightly gloink-shaped objects on it. How appropriate. Onto the costume you go. As for the rest of the fit, the shirt already came looking that cool, so no work had to be done there. Check that one off real fast. The pants and shoes were originally going to be just a pair of black dress pants that I owned and a pair of lace-up heels that I use for pretty much every cosplay ever. So I was gonna go subtle, character accurate, call it a day. But, and I mean but, I had seen footage of Megan Thee Stallion in her Broadway debut as the first female Zidler in the Moulin Rouge musical recently, and I figured, kind of a similar outfit. And look at that, she's got fishnet leggings, black bodysuit. So I went back to the thrift store and I found a really nice pair of black swim bottoms and these excellent knee-high riding boots. Subtle. And I already had the fishnet tights, so. But then it was time for the big reveal. I sent a couple of pictures to my mom, and after that, we decided that we weren't going to the very small local theater to go see the finale, and instead we are going to go downtown and make a day of it and watch it at a theater downtown. My mom is also dressing up, but she's going as a much more subtle rendition of Gummy Goo, complete with gummy alligator candies. She's special ordering from New Orleans that we are going to make into earrings and other various costume accessories. We are going to make quite the pair. For all its goofy bits and silly characters, The Amazing Digital Circus is a pretty unique series in that, from the outside, it can look incredibly juvenile, but once you watch it and go down a couple of rabbit holes and dig a little bit deeper, it's got kind of important things to say, and it reinforced a pretty serious lesson for me. I've gone through a lot of transitions and upheavals in the past few years, and I'm still very much in a purgatory state of not being totally settled. Still waiting for certain situations in my life to be resolved. Still waiting to get out of my own personal circus. But the waiting and the hoping for a situation to end does nothing but make me anxious and disappointed. And a life spent waiting isn't much of a life at all. This is something I've been working on in my personal life a lot over the past few years, and that is acceptance and living in the presence. If you don't know who he is, Eckhart Tolle is a spiritual teacher and author of some popular self-help books, notably The Power of Now and A New Earth. In these books, he encourages the practice of living in the present and says that if you don't like your present situation, you have three options: change it, leave it, or accept it. And if you cannot change or leave it, you have to accept it, or else after a while, you'll go insane. You'll abstract. For a few situations in my personal life, I was able to leave them or change them to my liking. But there's still a few big ones that to this day I'm not able to change. But they're something I'm learning to accept, and I'm happier for it. Don't get me wrong, it's hard. Some days I'm Zubul, never not wishing to escape the circus, and always keeping it on their mind 24/7. But then some days I'm Pomni, accepting her fate and trying to make the best out of her situation. Pomni does say it best: we can't let that despair consume us. We should focus on what we have. Constantly chasing an unattainable goal will drive us crazy. Maybe what we have to do now is just live. I love this message the most. Sure, you may be stuck in this weird little body, in this weird little world, neither of which you have control over, but you have to make the best of it, because it's your life. And if the situation that you want to change does change, then great, you got out of your circus. But if it doesn't, you don't want to look back on a life wasted on waiting and living in a lack mindset. There is meaning in a stagnant life, because meaning is what you make it. The small joys, the connections you have with others. Whether you're a cartoon jester in a circus or a human in the macroverse, life really is what you make it. This is what I love about the show. And as bittersweet as it is to see it go, to close this chapter on anticipation and constant theorizing, it'll always hold a special place in my heart, my sketchbooks, and now my closet. For all of its surface level goofiness and silly humor and gags and what have you, it is something special. And it's something special to me. And it reminded me to be present, to live and find joy in your life. And that's why I did this. That's why we're making a day of going downtown and seeing this movie in a crowd full of other nerds and fans. Why we're dressing up. It's because this is something special to me, and I wanted to commemorate it in some way. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. And stick around if you want. I might make another video like this in the future. Until the next one.